Hello, my name is Catherine, and I'll be talking about the Stanford prison experiment. This experiment was started by Dr. Philip Zimbardo, who wanted to test if good regular people will turn evil if they were in the right environment. So he did that by simulating prison life. He had 24 volunteers divided into two groups of 12. 12 people were to be guards and 12 were to be prisoners. So on August 14th, 1971, the 12 men who were supposed to be prisoners were arrested and placed in a makeshift prison in the basement of Stanford University. By the second day of this 2-week experiment, the guards have already adapted to their roles and were becoming very cruel, doing things like limiting the prisoners' bathroom use and locking them up, taking away their bed sheets, humiliating them verbally, and making them strip off their clothes, things like that. By the 6th day of this experiment, Dr. Zimbardo had to end the experiment because of the unethical effects it had on both the prisoners and the guards. In the end, he concluded that when people are anonymous and have the power over depersonalized people, they can easily become evil. And because this experiment was viewed to be very unethical, Michael Stevens and Dr. Jared Bartels wanted to redo this experiment by making it more ethical. They viewed that part of the results were due to demand characteristics, which causes the participants to act in a way that will match with what they think the scientists are hypothesizing. Therefore, in the newly revised experiment, both Michael and Jared wanted to eliminate this factor. They identified 3 other factors that would help them mimic the Stanford prison experiment. The first one would be anonymity. So basically the participants would be anonymous. To do this, they placed 4 participants in a pitch black room, and the scientists observed them through infrared cameras. The second factor would be depersonalization. Each participant was given a number, and they were only labeled by that number and not by their names. Their task was to work with 3 other people sitting on each side of the table, and they would try to work out a wooden puzzle in the darkness. They were told that there would be an opposing team in a different location, and they were given the third factor, power, which was a distraction button that could be dialed from level 1 to 12. Pushing the button at a level 7 would be harmless. Anything above a level 7 would be adverse to the opposing team's hearing. But in reality, there is no opposing team. They were just testing to see the reaction of the 4 participants in that one room. They only chose participants who scored very high on the Big 5 personality scale and the personality assessment inventory for morality, including honesty and conscientiousness. So, what happened? In Group 1, Phase 1, after the group first started to buzz a level 3, Michael and Jared, who were in the background observing, would press the button to simulate what the opposing team would do. Surprisingly, this group of 4 participants did not retaliate much. In total, Jared and Michael buzzed them 23 times, but they only retaliated 6 times. None of them dialed the button above a level 5. This shows that they did not abuse their power. In Phase 2, they were told that their only task was to press the distraction button and not to work on the puzzle. And they were also told that the opposing team would continue working on their puzzle and they wouldn't know that their distraction button was disabled. So what were the results? Surprisingly, the group just sat there and chatted. They only pressed the buzzer 3 times in the span of 10 minutes, and none at which was above a level 3. This shows that personality was more dominant than the environment. Now for Group 2. In Phase 1, participant number 3 pressed a level 7 right off the bat. After Michael and Jared pressed back, participant number 2 started pressing level 3 times. And throughout this whole period of testing, participant number 2 retaliated the most. However, they only pressed to retaliate and not to cause any cruel harm to the opposing team. In total, they were buzzed 44 times by Michael and Jared, but they only buzzed back 38 times, and 37 times were from participant 2, who didn't buzz above a level 5. This shows that personality was more dominant again than the environment, since the participants only buzzed to retaliate and not to instigate harm. Now in phase 2, all the participants buzzed more in general, especially participant number 3. She actually guessed that there was no opposing team, so that could explain why she pressed more. In the middle of the experiment, participant 1 actually said, "You broke me," while pressing the button, and this shows that if you tell a person to do something, they will do it even if they dislike it. After interviewing Dr. Zimbargo himself about Michael's experiment, they discussed about the results, and Zimbargo said that one reason why his results might have been different from the Stanford prison experiment was because Michael selected people who had very high morality. In comparison, Dr. Zimbargo chose people in the middle of the spectrum. In the end, Michael's experiment proved that people's personalities will determine their behavior when they aren't given a specific task. Dr. Zimbargo also insisted that demand characteristics play little role on behavior. However, many philosophers disagree with that and said that it does play a big role. And assuming that is correct, we can conclude that people are quick to be cruel if an authoritative figure said that doing a task will serve a greater cause. And in Michael's new test, demand characteristics did not exist and no one acted maliciously, which does prove that demand characteristics do play a huge role in people's behaviors.